Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime, and I'm your host as always, Professor Prime. Let's talk about gaming and life, and I mean that in two major ways. Because of course, I do want to talk about gaming in my life. It's something that I will never shut up about. But I also want to kind of talk about how we have art imitating life, sure, but like life imitating art, or kind of just like how that all works together. There is a more eloquent way to say that. But here we are. Okay, so if you didn't know, right? If you've been following my work and you somehow didn't know about my thing with gaming, allow me to just rectify that. Or if you're new to the table, allow me to explain. Gaming has been a big part of my life for a long time. For context, I am 37, going on 38. I've been gaming since I was 6. It's been in my life for over 30 years, and there's been a lot of adventures, a lot of worlds explored, and I dig that because it's art in action, right? It's the perfect union of math and art. I feel like with math, right? Um, we don't always get to see it for what it is, right? Like we see the academic side of it, and at a certain point, when it comes to academic math, right, you end up seeing a lot of the algorithms. You see the equations. You're learning the language of it, the problem solving side aspect of it, but like the whole larger point can get lost if you're not careful, or if someone who is teaching you isn't careful, and that happens more often than one would like. Or it's hard for some teachers to fight the curriculum, even if they want to go further. Some people find a way, but my point is, it's not uncommon for a lot of people to not see the larger picture with math. Math is everywhere. It's in everything. Is very much in gaming, and it's in music, in sports, in cooking, food in general. It extends from the subatomic to the cosmic. In the math that we learn in school, the math that we traditionally think of when we think of as math, that is a small fraction of a much larger whole. And with gaming, I feel like such a beautiful thing in and of itself, but it's a great way to see the math because right there's always like a lot of math going on behind the scenes, right? And when we think about like math in that academic sense, we're developing the language to talk about that. And so there's always a million things going on. And with video games, even with all behind the scenes math going on, there's a lot of math going on at the surface, right? And I feel like you can really see that even more clearly with RPGs. Just saying, right? Because there's so much going on there. With the stats, with the damage output, the calculations going into all that, the resource management, navigating that whole world, and just like being able to numerically follow your character's journey. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's really cool because like whether we're keeping track of things or not, or whether someone else is keeping tracks of things or not, um, we have stats, right? And then not just with like X thing that we're doing, we have our personal stats. Like we have our health, and we have our strength at any given moment, and just our speed, our agility, our intelligence, just all these different things, right? And everything that we're doing or everything that we're consuming has an impact on those stats. And we might not be keeping track of them, but we could for a lot of different things, right? And like what's going on in our body. And I think that's all cool and that's all interesting. And so for me, there's two big things, right? I can't help but not see math and everything, and I can't help but to see gaming and a lot of different things, right? Like pretty much everything. And so it's like here I have a mixture of ginger ale and iced tea, because why not? Um, and I dig it. It wouldn't necessarily be considered the most healthy thing in the world. But I can tell you this, it has helped restore some of my energy, you know? And it has impacted my happiness stat, which it helps me more effectively use my other stats, you know? And so I dig it. But more seriously, right? Like, we're always eating a million things. a million different things, just like you would like in a game, or they're eating things in a game like you would in real life. And the idea is you're boosting your stats, you're boosting your health, you're boosting your energy, you're boosting your ability to just like take on the world. I don't have a sword on me right now. Oh, but I do have some lightsabers handy at most moments when I'm home. So I did have a sword the whole time. I just needed to know it. It came to me. And it's kind of like a video game moment there, right? It's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this video, I'm getting ready for battle, but oh no, I don't have the right weapon. But now I do. I'm having fun with this video if you couldn't tell. Okay, so. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, so. My whole thing is like, right, we're consuming a lot of different things. And I'm stuck on food because I'm partially hungry, but also it's just kind of cool because right, we're eating all these different foods, and if we're not careful, we might ingest the wrong type of food, and that might poison us on some level. It might make us less effective in combat as we try to take on the world. But if we are careful, we can do our thing. And there might be some things, some foods that we consume that aren't like the most healthy thing in the world, but it might give us more energy. It might make us happier, and that is okay. Also, sometimes we might have just wanted it. Either way. And you can view it as like how some of those foods and games like might give you more health than others, but they all kind of give you some measure of health. So that's one way to look at it. But that's not all, right? Like so what we eat affects our abilities. It affects our stats and our abilities to fight. But also sleep. There's a truck in the distance. I can hear. Um, but yeah, sleep's a big thing, and I'm saying this of all people, someone who doesn't sleep very well, but I'm trying to get better. That does is affect how we take on the world, right? And that's big. And it kind of taking it back to gaming. It's like if you're going to a camp and you're resting, or you're going to a hotel and you're resting, or you're going to a save point and resting. So, all right, it's like you're doing your thing, you're recovering your health, so you can be more effective in battle. Do your thing, take advantage of your experience points. And speaking of experience points, it's like right, we're always getting experience points, right? We're always going on quests, we're always growing. And there might be like some points where we're accumulating so much experience, and we just like we didn't appropriately distribute our skill points that we were building up through that experience. So it's like you can view it a couple different ways, right? Because it's like, oh well, maybe I'm leveling up, but I didn't effectively boost all my stats. Or it's like, oh hey, the experience is there, but I didn't technically level up. There's a couple ways to look at it, but my whole thing is like, great, you're gaining experience, right, at any given point, and it can impact your stats. You just gotta be able to use them correctly, right? And the rest is important. Food is important, and so I just like that because it's like you have these things in video games that are like pretty common, like eating different food items, and sometimes like cooking different food items. Gathering the right ingredients, combining them, forming stronger like dishes. From basic ingredients, boosting your health, boosting your other stats. And so you have ideas like that. You have the ideas of resting and recovering. And a lot of these things come from real life. They're just like done in an interesting way. I think in gaming, that's like pretty complex and pretty quick. Um, I didn't want to say complex. I meant to say compact. But I mean, I guess complex in a way, depending on how you're looking at things, like with house programming, or if you're dealing with some interesting system. But my whole thing is just that, all right, there's so many things that we do in video games, and I'm like specifically thinking about RPGs, because a lot of them are like immersive, that end up being based off of something in real life. But really, the idea of food is like pretty common in games, right? And we are living in an age where it is more common to collect different items and ingredients and do cooking, and that's pretty common, right? And that's something from real life that also gets in there, because it's not just eating food; it's sometimes cooking it. And there's just math and all that too, and I like that. There's just this through line of math and everything. in the food and what it does, and cooking and gathering the ingredients, resource management, stat boosting, all that. And I dig it. I dig it all. And just with gaming in my life, it's just been such a big part of it. And since it's been like part of my life for such a long time, I've been playing games for over 30 years, right? But realistically, there are things in gaming that have probably impacted me that I'm not even aware of, or, I was watching something that came from a game. And I am conscious that I've played video games for at least 30 years. I think that's important, right? Because like my first memory was playing Sonic when I was 6, right? For gaming, but for all I know, I could have played games before that. But that's the first conscious memory of me doing that because I got Sonic, the OG Sonic, uh, for Christmas one year when I was like 6, back in '93. So it's been a long time, and it's been such a big part of my life because like not only is gaming something that's fun to me, but it was something that I've had a fun experience with on not only the single player level, but also the multiplayer level. Because it's like growing up, it was really cool playing games with my family, and occasionally my friends, and then later on playing with my friends more. But the idea is like there's that playing with people part, right? That was really nice. But I also had my single player experiences, and like as I got older, that did take up the bulk of my gaming time. Like I still will play with people occasionally, right? And even if I'm not playing with people directly, I'm talking to a lot of people about gaming at any given moment. And I'm not just talking about it online, like in person. And what's really cool about gaming, I think, is like one, it's very prevalent, right? But one thing for me is like for when I talk about it, right? It encourages some other people to talk about it, and then like some people that I might not even be sure of their gaming background because it just never came up in conversation. It turns out like they were playing this or they were playing that for ages, and they're like super into it. It's like, oh crap, we're both into this. Like, yeah, oh snap. So but my point is like it's a big part of my life, and I am so glad to uh, talk to people about it, both with my videos, with my writing, and in person, right? But I'm also glad to just have had experiences that I've had with it, both the single player and multiplayer experiences. Because like with the multiplayer, it's like you have this like community, whether it's family or friends, and you bond, and that's cool. And for the single player experience, right, you have this time to be by yourself with a game, get immersed, figure out and explore this world, and grow as the character grows. Because like video games are just they're fascinating for a number of reasons. But one of the things that I really like, and I don't feel like it gets talked about enough, is that it's an interactive way for you to practice and build empathy. And I dig it. Like you're literally in someone else's shoes, right? You're growing as the character is growing. They're growing as you are growing. And here's the kicker, right? You're seeing that mathematically, and I dig it. I dig it hard. And so, like I said, it's been over 30 years of gaming. Here's to at least 30 more. Hopefully, I'll live forever and I'll game forever. It's not going to happen, but one can hope. I'll make it happen. I don't know. I've just had a lot of fun making some videos today because like I got to talk about well, oh crap, wow, they've all been gaming. I've got to talk about Metal Gear a lot, same with Final Fantasy, and then in this video just talking about gaming and life. um so yeah, I dig it. And for me, I've had a lot of favorites over the years. Some have alternated, but some of mine's include but are not limited to the Devil May Cry series, notably Devil May Cry 3, the Metal Gear series, notably Metal Gear Solid, um, Pokemon, of course, notably Pokemon Gold, Horizon, notably Horizon Zero Dawn, just because that's the thing that kicked it off for me, and it is a game that haunts me with its awesomeness. And Horizon Forbidden West is such a brilliant game that, despite it being a completely separate game because of what it is, it feels like so tied to that first one. You really feel that you're just playing this overall story, right? Like you're dealing with two stories, but it's great at connecting the stories, right? And of course, there's my favorite game of all time, Near Automata, and it's just ha ha ha. Right? That's what I have to say to that game. But if I actually have to put my sound effects into words, I dig that game so much. It is a beautiful game, both visually and thematically. It deals with a lot of great things, both mathematically and philosophically. It's action packed, it's thought provoking, and it is oh so wonderfully weird. And I dig it. I dig it hard. And so I dig games like that. And over the last few years, I realized how important fighting games have been in my life. So they continue to be, and so I enjoy those as well. Um, Final Fantasy, a lot of Final Fantasy games, a lot of RPGs in general. Like I mentioned, like the Legend of Dragoon. That is, oh god, wonderfully unique game in its own right. And back to fighting games. There's been many over the years, but I dig the Soul Calibur series, notably Soul Calibur 2. I dig the Tekken series, notably Tekken 2, and 8 was phenomenal, so there's that. I mean, they're all good, but like 2 is my favorite, and 8, it was great. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, those have been like, of course, pretty regulars, not just for me, but everyone. There's been a lot of Dragon Ball Z fighting games. I would say Dragon Ball overall, but like they're largely Dragon Ball Z games. But my favorite is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. That's an awesome game. It's just stellar in every way. So there's a lot that like come up for me like with fighting games, and they're pretty cool. Guilty Gear is pretty solid as well. I'm trying to think if there's some other ones. Oh, cool. Smash, yeah. Um, Ultimate just really outdid itself, and like all those games are great. Um, and I feel like you could probably go on because right there's so many different fighting games, but it's just like I came to a conclusion in recent years that's like holy crap, like I like fighting games and I don't talk about that enough, you know, because they get at some things that I like mathematically in some pretty direct ways and easy to pick up ways, but also it's just like great because for a lot of fighting games, you can pick up, you can play them. Like they're easy to learn but hard to master typically, and I dig that. And of course, there's some Star Wars games in there. There is. My favorite, realistically, being KOTOR. But did you know there was an awesome Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith game? I liked it. I think, like, visually, it probably didn't look the best. And that could probably throw some people off, but you shouldn't get deterred by that. It has awesome gameplay. Like it's fast paced, it's fluid, and it also has like a kick ass like fighting game mode that is really a game in and of itself. So I dig that. I dig it hard. But there's a lot of great games out there, and it's just like whew, there's never enough time to play them. Um, One that I wanted to mention because like I don't feel like it gets enough credit is like Greece, like GRIS. It is just a wonderful, beautiful game. Um, no words. It's just like it's visual storytelling. It's effective use of light and color and just really chilled out platforming. Um, it's beautiful. And a spiritual successor made by the same studio that made Grease was Neva, Neva, and they play around with color in some crazy awesome ways. And in both of the cases, they're really playing around with geometry in some cool ways that work. And with Neva, you really only hear the main character say Neva. It's pretty quiet in terms of voice work. Um, and it's brilliant. It's colorful. It's chill. Of course, Life is Strange. Oh, sorry, the Life is Strange series. Like, just oh my god, play any of those games. They're great. Um, and I'm unashamed to say Life is Strange emotionally wrecked me. I don't regret it. um, and with Final Fantasy, like I've talked about it so many different times, but I really dig that too. Like a lot of those games, like 7 is great, and so many like related materials. Like I'd say like Crisis Core is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. It's just It's so brilliant. Because it's like one, Zack is a good character. Also, it's just like he interacts with Aerith, he interacts with Tifa and Cloud and Sephiroth and so many other characters in some really like cool ways that adds more context to everyone's characters. And also, mathematically speaking, you can make Zack stupidly broken. But seriously speaking, though, it's great to me because it's like this piece you didn't know was missing, right? Because it tells you a story that you already know on the base level, because you know what happens, right? You know the beats of it, but it fills in some really cool gaps while adding in some new lore. And I think it also just like it added some things to Sephiroth that I think stuck. You know what I mean? Because he's a bit of a mystery in Final Fantasy VII, and that's very much the point, right? He's a legend. But it makes him more human, and that makes some of his actions probably more horrifying when you think about that later on. But Shinra is Shinra, and they go so well together because you have Sephiroth, Genova, and Shinra, and they're all linked. And in Crisis Core, Genesis. Well, all of us linked to Shimmer and Genova and all that. So it's a fascinating thing. But I also like in addition to like it's not just Final Fantasy VII, right? There's so many other games, even though there's so many Final Fantasy VII games in different related material. But I like seven. I like a lot of things related to seven, but I also like six. I also like nine. I like 16. I like eight, and it's bonkers soundtrack. It's just so good. Really, I haven't played a Final Fantasy game that I actually like super disliked. I've liked ones that are just like there's ones that I really like, and then ones where it's just like I like this. It's fun to play. Some mesh up well better than others, but it's been a long series, right? Um, where's I going with this? Oh, yeah. So Sonic was my first game, and I dig that series too, despite like so many ups and downs. Recently, I played Sonic Generations. Sonic and Shadow Generations rather, and that was cool because it's like I hadn't played Sonic Generations in ages, and playing Shadow Generations that was pretty cool. And it almost makes up for that really horrible Shadow the Hedgehog game from nearly 20 years ago. But I have digressed, which I don't regret. It's just like there's been a lot of different games, a lot of journeys, a lot of worlds explored, and I am grateful for that. And it's like always fun to like talk to people about their favorite games, and so feel free to share some of yours. Some of the things that you enjoy. It's like, is there any like genre that speaks to you? Feel free to talk about that too. Because like for me, I like a little bit of everything. Like I like my action games. I like my RPGs. I like my action RPGs. But I also like fighting games. I'm not opposed to racing games. You give me a good one, and I'm good for a while. I like some like Nerdorf based games too. Platformers, puzzlers. I I meant to just say puzzle games. I don't know why I said puzzlers. It's a weird way to say it, but apt. Um, so it's like there's a lot of different genres and a lot of different ways you could go with gaming. There's a lot of possibilities, and I'm here for it. I've been here for it. I shall remain here for it, and I hope that you will be too. I'll see you in the future.